Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Bartko. I'm Senior Vice President of Accounting and Finance at Machias Savings Bank. And I've worked here for 30 years.
Hi, I'm Jody Dennison, Vice President of Accounting. I've gone from an accountant to senior accountant, AVP, and then accounting manager and VP.
When I first started in accounting, we were using the green ledger paper. And we would just transition into spreadsheets. But the spreadsheet did the math, but we were still printing, of course, printing everything off, attaching documentation, stapling, putting it on the accounting manager's desk for review, and then we filed everything. But as we grew, we started to run out of space to store all of our reconciliations that needed to be stored. So we started to look for ways to not print, but it was hard. We could print a PDF, but we couldn't capture a review electronically at the time. In 2013, that we exceeded $1 billion in assets. And for us as a bank, that meant that we had to have a stronger internal control program. And we got pressure from our auditors at that point to really beef up that spreadsheet and the processes Jody had around it to make sure all accounts were listed and all the check boxes were checked. And that spreadsheet started to become really complex. That's what we were doing right before going to art.
So right now we have about 5 people in our department that participate in the month-end close. Our goal is to close within 3 business days. And generally at the end of our 3-day timeline, we have about 75% of our total accounts reconciled. We use the task lists that are in ART. I use the dashboard to monitor the reconciliations and the task progress so I can reach out to people if they don't have their items done. And also when all of the reconciliations are done, I run it's called a completion date report, and it verifies that they've all accounts have been reconciled and that they've been reviewed as well. So that can be signed off on and saved out there for auditors.
It really was the spreadsheet issue that was my concern. I was afraid that as we grew, that spreadsheet was going to become more prone to human error. And it is such a big piece of the controls over our reconciliation. So it was important to be done perfectly. And I didn't even understand the concept really, at the time, but we had to really beef up our tracking. I started thinking about something then when the spreadsheet was built up to be more complex, that made our own list of criteria of what we really needed, because we found these systems we looked at offered everything from artificial intelligence for auto matching of activity, and even a complete reporting system that would pull data to build your executive reports, and things that we just weren't looking for and didn't want to pay for. So after going through all of that and finally narrowed it down to art and SkyStem. Pretty simple. We wanted to make sure we could do the reconciliations electronically, the documentation electronic, but together, because they were separate in how we were doing it before. And to get rid of that checklist, replace it with something stronger. And it was also important for us to work with a company that we felt there was good support and service, and not just some of the companies we looked at were larger. And we had concerns about support with them, or even being acknowledged, the relationship being meaningful to them. So, we wanted a good company that we felt, we could work with well. We were spreadsheets, that's how we live, and so the idea of something different, or how spreadsheets could work with it, was a little hard to visualize, I think.
Well, I'm not super big on change, so what we had really was working well, and I had my way of doing it. I had, the system down, but once we decided we were gonna do it, it was fine. Like, and the first month, I was totally sucked in or whatever because it was so much better than checking off those, hundreds of accounts on this spreadsheet. It just having the dashboard and letting me know when everything was done. It saved me several hours a month. So I really liked it. The implementation itself was really pretty easy. It just takes some time. There's nothing hard about it. You just have to be prepared and go through your accounts and everything. So
it wasn't like a lot of hours every week. Yeah, no, I think it was a little bit of bumps in just trying to talk people through where to put what information. So that learning curve of that, but there was good user guides, and we had used the user guides to then make our own procedures. So we had a pretty good start there. But we also went into that first cycle saying we're not going to do all of our accounts in Art this time. We're just going to try it out with a few. And we're going to do everything else the old way because we thought it was going to be harder than it was. So even with, some of the reconciliation forms we had set up, we decided we wanted to change. And even though it was a little bumpy for the reconcilers to use the system the first time, we still ended up pushing through and deciding to do all the reconciliations that month, right, Jody?
Yeah, I couldn't leave it undone, and it was working well for everyone. So we pushed through and did them all. There are really good user guides, and we do try to go there first if we have issues. So there are a lot of good resources.
Anytime we have a question or we go in and submit a case or a ticket or however it's worded, we always get really good response time.
And it's great because many times the questions I have are revolving around something I'm doing, and I really want to get the answer quickly so that I can finish what I'm doing. And generally speaking, within 30 minutes or so, we've got some sort of response and usually the solution. So.